Okay, so we're officially at the canonical couple minutes late starting time, so we should get started. So this is the panel on global warming, facts, myths, and all that jazz. I apologize. I'm a little bit hoarse. I have a bit of a cold, and my clever virus fighting strategy of staying out really late and drinking a lot does not seem to have killed it. So if I get a little ragged, I'm sorry, but I'm mostly going to attempt to just direct traffic here and let other people talk. I thought I would say in advance, before having the panelists introduce themselves, I think it would be good to at least try to manage to avoid having this be the soul-crushing, we're all going to die horribly panel, because this is a topic that has that potential. And I have to drive back to Schenectady this afternoon, and I'd rather not do it when after hearing how we're all going to die miserably, in which case I might just drive into a bridge. So I'd ask that if possible, we can have a conversation about global warming that doesn't slide into we're all going to die, but try and look for things that we can do to make things better in the future rather than just the inevitable collapse of everything. So with that as sort of a ground rule, or at least an aspirational goal, I'll ask the panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Vincent Docherty. Can you hear at the back? Okay. No reply, so you can't hear at the back. Okay. Can you hear at the back? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm mostly known as a convention organizer, although I do have a scientific background. I actually did research in quantum chemistry before I sold out and joined an oil company. I will just make one thing very clear at the beginning. I'm here talking on behalf of myself, and definitely not on behalf of my employer, who I'm not even going to mention, but who are an oil company that does actually believe that global warming is real, so that may narrow it down a bit. I've also brought some data, some slides which I've brought, which are publicly available data only. There's nothing confidential in any of this, and it's it's just provided for reference for the conversation. Most of them will be familiar if you've seen any article or documentary on global warming and climate change.
I'm Mark Olson. I also got my degrees in quantum chemistry before I sold out to the software industry. I've been fascinated by the issues of global warming for 30 years at least. There's no question it's real. There is real question about how big it is and lots of detail. I also certainly won't doom and gloom it, because while there are certainly parts of it that are unquestionably bad, sea level rise is the obvious one. I'm not even convinced the temperature rise is on the whole bad for humanity. I think there's much to be concerned about, but imminent panic does not seem warranted.
Hello. I tried your strategy. It
didn't work for you either.
Let me get another.
Well, I write science fiction, and I certainly have indulged in apocalyptic thought experiments, most conspicuously in a novel called "This Is the Way the World Ends," which was about nuclear holocaust, a kind of Armageddon comedy, and most recently, not a sequel in any plot sense, but a follow-up novella called "Shambling Towards Hiroshima," a alternate history, I guess, or a parallel history in which the source of the apocalypse is the Navy's biological weapon, not the Army's physics bomb, but the giant mutant fire-breathing amphibious bipedal iguanas that the Navy bred climaxing in 1945. That project, which is still top secret, and this book reveals the facts behind the Knickerbocker project. So I even used global warming in a story called "To Drive the Plot," or to kickstart the premise of Auspicious Eggs, it was called. But that said, I'm on board with Chad's caveat, we won't indulge in nihilism. My great teacher was sort of spiritual teacher is George Orwell when it comes to dealing with dystopian visions, and as I'm sure you know, he was insistent, particularly when his publisher was resisting bringing 1984 into print because it is such a bleak and depressing and apocalyptic vision, that Orwell convinced him to publish it when he pointed out that this is a warning, which is an honorable thing for a novelist to be doing. But it's not deterministic. This is not how the future has to be. 1984 is not a prophecy.
Okay, and I realized I didn't introduce myself. So my name's Chad Orzel. I'm a professor of physics at Union College in Schenectady, New York. And I run a weblog on scienceblogs.com that which is a site that has a whole bunch of blogs being written by scientists, many of whom are climate scientists who spend a great deal of time, countering myths and fallacies about global warming. So there's a wealth of information there if you're interested. And I have a book that will be coming out in the fall. It's a popular audience book explaining quantum mechanics through conversations with my dog. So that's not directly relevant, but I need to slip that plug in.
Is this a book for young readers or for dogs?
This is for more for adults.
Mm-hmm.
So since this is about facts and myths, maybe the best thing to kick things off would be to ask people, ask the panelists, do you have a favorite or least favorite myth about global warming that you would like to talk about? So certainly, or potentially that all oil companies deny it.
I guess my least favorite part of this whole narrative is a character named Michael Crichton, who provided so much unwarranted comfort to the deniers, which I think, not to kick up the inflammatory rhetoric right away, but it does sort of map onto Holocaust denialism, I think, and Darwin denial.
Don't bother.
Can't hear you.
Okay. I just said my favorite myth, was that the question? Or what,
favorite or least favorite?
Yeah, my least favorite piece of this whole conversation was the contribution that the science fiction writer Michael Crichton made in his novel, whose title I have deliberately repressed. What was it called?
State of Fear?
State of Fear, something like that. What a ghastly and valueless contribution to the conversation that was. It just seemed like, what fiction, it's sort of a betrayal of the art of fiction to just do a polemic disguised as a novel, and gave so much aid and comfort to the global warming deniers without getting his facts straight. An ideological novel, which I couldn't get through.
I guess I share that to a certain extent, but I'd extend it. I think this is a crisis that needs to be resolved.